And I apologize if you just came from my other live. I was trying to put up a poll and somehow it closed down the entire live. I'm gonna try it again. Okay, and I've got the poll up now. But so we are at Eisenhower Park. We are 0.65 miles into a 3K path, and then I'm just going to keep on going on this all throughout the day. My goal is to do about 10 miles today. So along the course, they do have different exercise areas. So here's another one of the fit stations and what stretches to do. Along with up here is another fit station. Now, if you're doing the walk, most important place is there's a bathroom inside of this building. It's also a great cover if it does start raining. And then down at the end of that walkway too is another bathroom. And if you're doing a race here, it's going to start over on that side. So we are on what's called the banana loop, which it equals a 5K course, but this is roughly the first mile of the course. It's a relatively quiet, peaceful morning. You do hear lawnmowers in the distance from the maintenance crew here. They do an amazing job keeping this park nice and clean. But so that's about where we started, just right over there on the other side. And so down here, there are some baseball fields as well. Hi, Rohan. Thanks for hopping in. I am doing some marathon training. I've got the Chicago Marathon coming up in roughly 2 months, and I'll be walking it as a disabled athlete. So we are 0.77 miles in on what's going to be about a 10-mile day. So we're still on that first banana loop that they talk about for Eisenhower Park. It's kind of annoying. The area is shaped like a banana. So we are almost at the halfway point of that. And then as we go down that way is where we'll find the turnaround. And then we'll start exploring more parts of the park. So as some perspective, we started by the tennis courts, made our way over to the New York Islanders training facility. Now we're making our way. There's a track over there, more bathrooms, vending machines if you do want water or anything as you're doing a marathon or any race here. They do actually hold one marathon at Eisenhower Park. It takes place in January. It's called the Icebreaker. Highly recommended. It's 4 loops around the park. We're not going to be doing that course today, but we're going to be doing their most popular 5K route. And this park has 5Ks typically every weekend. Wednesday nights they've been having them. I know that they're done with their Wednesday night ones for the summer, but they will have another coming up on Thursday. It's being done by Elite Feats. So we are 0.86 miles into our walk. We're almost done with that banana loop. So there's more bathrooms, vending machines down here. But here's where we're going to turn around. And this parking field, we are actually going to be back at somewhere between miles 1 and 2. So we're almost done with that first banana loop here. And if you just joined in, welcome. Thanks so much for hopping on. I am doing marathon training. I am a disabled athlete hoping to finish the Chicago Marathon. I'm running it for charity, or correction, I am going to be walking it for charity because I am unable to run on my ankle. So I am out here going to be doing about 3 hours worth of training today. I'd love to know in the poll if you've done a marathon before. This is going to be marathon number 9, but only number 2 since I became disabled. So still learning how to walk, so I apologize that this is a bit bumpy. Forgot my gimbal, which probably would have helped to stabilize it. But we're still on this banana loop. We've got tennis fields over here, or tennis courts, baseball fields over on this side. And so down at that shed, it's a little hard to see from here, but that is where the turnoff point is. For the first part of the banana loop, we will hop on it again, leading up to mile 3 and the finish. And I'd love to know down in the polls if you've done a marathon before. And we're over at Eisenhower Park. They've got a great 5K course that's used pretty much every single weekend by a lot of races. I'm out here a little bit early, not sure if any races will show up during my training walk this morning, but we're gonna get done what we can. So we just finished mile 1, 17 minutes, 52 seconds. That's slower than I want to be, but had some technical issues on that first half a mile. So hopefully get a little bit faster. My goal is to do 17 minutes, 18 second miles today. And so over here they've got bathrooms. This field house is used a lot when they are setting up for races here. And we're going to go down this path a little bit more. Good morning. Have a great day. Thank you. So right before the turnoff point, we've got 2 memorial benches, and I want to take a moment to show you guys this one. That's for Terry Bisogno. He was a longtime race announcer on Long Island. So when you get to Terry's bench, you're going to turn left to continue the 5K course. Straight ahead are bathrooms if you are doing this course. Plenty of benches as well. This park doesn't have a lot of benches, but this area has quite a few. Also some basketball courts over on this side. And we've got a playground over here too. If you play Pokemon Go, I know for some people it's still very popular. This area is where you'll find actually a lot of Pokemon too. So I started my watch a bit early, but right here where there's the marking on the ground is truly where mile 1 ends. So I'm going to keep on going. The next loop is down to the parking lot, and we're going to turn left there. And I'd love to know in the poll if you've ever done a marathon. I am about 2 months away from my next marathon, which is going to be the Chicago Marathon. So this is more of the playground. And it's just almost 7 a.m. here. No one else is crazy enough to be out at this hour. And we've got the tennis courts over here. So for this 5K loop, we're just going to continue going straight for right now. And we're going to turn left where they have the walkathon route labeled. And this path is a great beginner path. It's also just a great course no matter how long you've been doing it, it can get kind of boring because a lot of long runners are here all the time. But so we're going to make a turn. And where this pathway splits, we're actually just going to continue along the yellow line. So we're just over 1 mile in. I'll be doing about 10 miles today. And I apologize for the background noise. We got tennis courts over here, but we're gonna turn right over here. There's some picnic benches along this area. Hi. And so this is parking field 2, which if you are going to do the 5K route at Eisenhower, this is definitely the best area to park at. Nice and accessible to Hempstead Turnpike, which is just down over the other side of the field. And over there is bathrooms. Once you get further along the course, there's not as many bathrooms, but for that first, we're at about 1.25 miles now. You've got 3 bathrooms and you go past them more than once. So this part of the course, we're just going to continue going straight to the end of the parking lot. And I'd love to know in the poll if you've done a marathon before. I'm currently training for marathon number 9, my second one since becoming disabled. So my pace is slower than most people. I'm aiming for 17 minutes, 18-second miles. Was a little slower than that to start off, but normally I pick up the pace a bit as I go throughout the day. Just my ankle needs a little extra time to get moving in the mornings. Also, if you've been to Chicago, since I'm headed there for the marathon, would love to know any tips of what you say to see where to eat, anything like that. I've been to Chicago, but never really had much time to be a tourist. And I'm going to be heading out there early for the marathon, so would love to know your Chicago recommendations as well. So along this course, once we get to the end of the parking lot, we're going to veer left and just continue with the signs where they've got walkathon labeled. And so quite a bit of this first part of the course is under trees, which is nice and cool. The mile, like leading up to mile 3, we've got the banana loop we started with, but there is a chunk in mile 2 headed to 3 where there are no trees. And there was a 5K here this past Wednesday. Insane rain, thunder, lightning, but I finished the 5K. There was about, I think, like 90 other people that finished in the crazy storm out here. It was quite an experience, heck of a way to finish out their Wednesday night summer series here. And so we're just going to keep on going straight up towards the road that goes through the parking lot or through the park. They do have a guard booth there, and I know some people are afraid to go to the park if they're not a Nassau County resident, but they've honestly never checked me here. I think because this is a main road essentially that goes right through the park, so you should be fine, but don't hold my word to it. And I'm typically at this park about 3 to 4 days a week. So we're just following again where it says to do the walkathon. And this stretch is going to take us past the police station inside of the park. There's no bathrooms easily accessible, a little bit more direct access to the sun as well. Luckily today is a nice and shady morning. It's supposed to be like that for the next few hours. So we're just gonna continue along this way. With the course, you never have to cross any streets or anything, so it's nice and peaceful. Some people ask like why I don't train where I live, and honestly it's because drivers are crazy. But inside the park, this is really the only area that you're close to cars aside from the last parking lot. Nobody's driving crazy here, especially in front of the police area, which is just about what we're approaching. So it's a nice and safe area to tackle, whether it's the 3-mile official course path that they have or even more than that. Let's do a time check. We're about 1.5 miles in. Last lap time, 9 minutes, 26 seconds. So I'm going a bit slower. I'm not used to trying to hold the phone as well, but we're doing the best we can. So at this part of the course, you're going through all the police vehicles, and there's the public safety office. And we're just gonna continue going straight on here. And I'd love to know in the poll if you've ever done a marathon. I'm currently training for marathon number 9, second one since I became disabled. So I'm going to be going in as a disabled athlete for the Chicago Marathon in roughly 2 months, where my goal is to finish in 7.5 hours, which sounds easy, but because my ankle can no longer run, the race is going to be done entirely walking. Also, if you've been to Chicago, would love to know your tips and suggestions on what to see, where to go, what to eat, since I'll be there for a few extra days surrounding the marathon. And we know we're on the right path because we still see the walkathon pathway. So the goal of today's training walk is to get around 10 miles done. Full marathon is 26 miles or 42 kilometers. So I'm going to do a little shy of half that distance this morning. And I'm currently training 5 days a week for the marathon, which I know most people train somewhere, I would say between 3 to 5. You need to give your body a couple of rest days as well. Okay, so as we get here on the course, we see that they've got the walkathon path labeled. We're just going to continue that or stick with this yellow line. And sometimes when I want to add a little bit of extra distance on my own, I'll just do that loop. They're both going to meet at the same point over here, but that adds about an extra minute or so to my walk. If you have any questions about marathon training, would love to know them in the chat. Any questions about being a disabled runner, feel free to ask me. So here we're just gonna keep staying with this yellow line. And over here is a kids' playground that we're gonna go past And we have lots of picnic benches as well over in this area. Good morning.
Good morning.
Have a great walk.
You as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are continuing along the pathway. Got a little elephant statue over there. And we have some soccer fields over here. As a word of warning, like sometimes when you are doing this training walk later in the day, soccer balls tend to come off of this field into the pathway, so be careful of kids and flying soccer balls. But this time of day, it's nice and peaceful. So we are about 1.86 miles into the walk. I'm a little bit ahead of where the official course markers would. I started my watch a little early, sorry about that. But I'll be sure to point it out where we are. And I'd love to know in the poll if you've done a marathon before. I'm currently training for marathon number 9, Chicago Marathon. This is going to be my second one since becoming disabled, so I apologize for the phone being bumpy. I left my gimbal at home, but I did want to show off this course. Okay, so here we've got multiple paths. We're just, again, sticking with the yellow pathway. And that street right over there is part of that first banana loop that we did before we reached mile 1. And we know we're still on the same path because we've got walkathon labeled here. So we got another baseball field, lots of baseball fields at this park. There's only like 2 basketball courts, but a ton of baseball here. And if you ever need water, there's a water fountain right over there. And again, we're just gonna, for this training path at Eisenhower, stick with this yellow line, which one loop is going to give us about 5K. I'm a little ahead of path today. And we've got another bathroom here. Between miles 2 and 3, there's really not many extra bathrooms, so just something to be aware of. Also, throughout the course, they have these fitness stations. We got another one right over there. And so I know my phone is about to say I'm at the 2-mile mark, but the course path, it's a little bit further ahead. That mile was 17 minutes, 55 seconds, which is about 30 seconds slower than I'm hoping to go. It takes my ankle a little bit longer to wake up in the morning. I've got a lot of scar tissue in there, but I'm confident on marathon day I'll be able to do a lot faster. When I did the London Marathon, I was averaging like 16 minutes headed into that, and actually like broke down to 14, and that was only 5 months after I learned how to stand up again. So I know my ankles are capable of it, just hard to get the body moving in the morning. And if you have any questions about being a disabled marathoner, feel free to drop them in the questions box. I admit I didn't know much until I became one, but I had to apply with the Chicago Marathon, showing them that my ankle doesn't move like it should anymore, and was able to be labeled as a disabled athlete. And then so that's the other bathroom there. Morning! And so right up here is where the real 2-mile mark would be on the walking path. We're just going to continue this yellow path along Walkathon Route. Good morning! And that white mark on the ground there says 2, and that's where the mile 2 marker would be. So I'm about 0.1 miles ahead because I started my watch a little bit early as I was getting everything set up. We have another one of these fit stations, and we're just going to continue on the yellow path. Good morning. Got some more picnic benches over there. We're gonna be looping towards the left, back towards that hockey rink that we saw at the beginning. That building in back is where the aquatic center is, and actually here over, I guess it was last summer, they had a cricket tournament here at this field. They had a temporary stadium for cricket, but now it's nothing right now. So we're doing the 5K loop at Eisenhower Park. I'm going to be doing this about 3, maybe 4 times this morning. I go to do about 10 miles walking, training for the Chicago Marathon. Up this way is miniature golf. Love to know in the chat if you like miniature golf, if you've been to this one. I haven't gone to this one yet, and I haven't done it maybe like 20 years. But every time I see it, I'm like, I want to go back. And so I'm currently about 40 minutes into my workout. I'll be walking for 3 hours today. So that's the miniature golf area over at Eisenhower Park. And our walk path, we are just sticking with this yellow line. More of the miniature golf area over here. And so there is one water fountain when you're doing that first loop. But this is the other place to know about, that there are some vending machines here. And you do have bathrooms here too. And just past the building right there is part of that banana loop that we started on mile 1. And there's a batting cage when it is working. Overall, it's a really nice park. There's a track. It's circular shaped. Great for me when I was trying to learn how to walk again, because it forced me to learn how to do curves, which was something after my injury my legs no longer knew how to do. And this red area here is the backside to the Northwell Health Ice Arena, and that's the Islanders training facility. And that building over there is the aquatic center. But we're just walking the 5K route, the banana loop, as some people call it, at Eisenhower Park to do that first 3 miles. I'd love to know in the poll as well if you've ever done a marathon. I'm currently training for marathon number 9, number 2 since I became disabled. So I'm going to be doing the Chicago Marathon in roughly 2 months as a disabled athlete, with a goal to finish in 7.5 hours, which sounds easy, but with my ankle, it's going to be a challenge. So I'm out here training 5 days a week, working on getting that mobility, moving in my ankle. And so now we're just going to walk along the side of the Northwell Health Ice Arena. We've got another playground over here as well. Good morning. And it's currently about 7:17 a.m. here in New York. Typically there's 5Ks going on this pathway starting around 8:30, 9 a.m. I haven't seen them setting up for any, so this might be an off week. A lot of races seem to be taking a break before going heavy in September. So this is the Northwell Health Ice Arena. There's 2 hockey rinks inside there, as well as an outdoor rink over there. And this hill right here is really the only hill that you have, at least downhill on this course. If you're looking for more hill training, over by the lake at Eisenhower Park is a great place with some steep hills, but along this path it's relatively easy. And we're just sticking with this yellow line. There's another entrance to the park over here. Personally, I wouldn't use this one for if you're doing the loop. I would go to field 2 instead. And we do have an arrow saying, turn left as well. So if you stick with the yellow path, you'll have no problem doing this loop at Eisenhower Park. And so we already did this part of the walk before. We're back on the banana loop. Over there was the side that we first started with. We made the loop over just right behind us before and hopped back on this way. So we're redoing an early part of the course that we did in order to finish their 5K banana loop path. And thanks so much for hopping in and joining me on this walk. Training for marathons as a disabled athlete is a whole new experience for me. I've only done one other marathon since my traumatic ankle injury, so it's been quite a journey learning how to stand again, walk again. Body can no longer run, but I'm excited to be out here and getting this done and sharing the morning with you guys. And so when I'm here on my own and not doing the official path, I'll just do extra little loop arounds on all these cut throughs. It forces me to get used to, turn left, turn right while I'm walking, which with my ankle is a bit more of a challenge. And also just get some extra distance added on without having to go too far away. There's a large picnic area over here and lots of baseball fields, including over here too. I'd love to know down in the poll if you've done a marathon before. I am training for my 9th marathon, my 2nd since I became disabled, and I will be walking the Chicago Marathon in about 2 months. So this morning I'm doing a roughly a 10-mile training walk. We'll be out here for about 3 hours. Also, if you've been to Chicago before, would love to know your tips on what to see, where to eat, since I'll be exploring the town a bit before and after the marathon this October. And we have up here another fitness station stop. The end of the 5K path is going to be just around those trees, but we still have to finish up this banana loop. So we're going to keep on going straight and making our way back to finish up their 5K path over at Eisenhower Park. So I know it says turn that way, not what we're doing. We're continuing straight to get some extra distance in. We are about 2.7 miles in on the path. And here are some bathrooms. And so we're off of that yellow path, but we're just gonna keep going straight till you can't, and then we're gonna turn to the other side of the pathway and finish up this 5K route. And we've got tennis fields over there. Some baseball fields to our left, and past that is where that circular track is. So I'm out here training for the Chicago Marathon in roughly 2 months. couple people out playing tennis, but the park's been fairly empty so far. Nobody's at like any of the other playing fields just yet. It's about 7:25 out here in New York. It's a little hard to see, but there's people down there. That's about where the turning point is to finish up this 5K route at Eisenhower Park. We can see where we're going to make that final turn. And there are bathrooms straight ahead as well. As well as that brown building a little bit in the distance is also bathrooms. And here's where we're making that bend, so we're not going back up to the track. We were down over there earlier this morning. We're just gonna loop around here and finish up the official 5K course. So my watch is a little bit ahead because I started up early in anticipation of setting up the live. And so that last mile was 17 minutes, 22 seconds. My goal is to be 17 minutes, 18 seconds. So been a little bit slower this morning, but I find sometimes when I'm out here and there's not like a race going on, no one else to kind of like base my tempo off of, I tend to go a bit slower. Also in the mornings, my ankle just is not like moving anymore. So we've got the tennis fields over here, continuing down the pathway. And left to know in the poll if you've ever done a marathon. I'm currently training for my 9th marathon, which will be the Chicago Marathon. It'll be the 2nd marathon since I became disabled. So I will be walking the race with a goal of 7 hours, 30 minutes to finish. And so right down here is where the official 3-mile marker is. And we're looping essentially with the very beginning of the path. Here's the start line typically. And we're down in the home stretch. And thank you so much for hopping on. I really appreciate having people join me in this walk as I'm still how to walk again after a traumatic ankle injury. So it means a lot to be able to share this experience with other people virtually. Hi, good morning. You too. Good morning. So we've got the field house again, bathrooms down in there, the memorial benches. Again, we'll take a look at Terry's bench. He was a long time, much loved race announcer who passed away. It's been about 2 years now. So when we were starting off, we headed to the right. Now we're going to go to the left. And this is just where the finish line would be if this was officially a race here. Just going to make our way over here and we could see the letter F on the ground. So we have officially finished the 5K course at Eisenhower Park. And truly, thank you so much for hopping along and joining me. And I'll probably be sharing more of my trainings over these next 2 months. Hope you have an amazing day. Bye.